and not happy. Let me put it another way. I was plenty hot. And so we've got to reform the INS, and we've got to push hard to do so.
I'm just absolutely shocked to read in the paper this morning the terrorists just got their visas yesterday. For the life of me, I can't understand how something like that can happen. It's a major embarrassment, and it's a recognition that we still have a lot of work to do.
And if that's not enough, Attorney General John Ashcroft warned the INS that individuals will be held responsible for any professional incompetence that led to this failure, and inferior INS quality control mechanisms will be reformed. With me now to discuss this incredible failure by the INS are immigration attorneys Michael Wilds and David Morris. Gentlemen, thanks very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Mr. Wilds, let me start with you. You know, we're hearing from the INS that the procedures that allowed this to happen were pre-9/11 procedures, that this happened as a result of a mistake, but that the approval came before 9/11. Have things really changed significantly since 9/11? I mean, can we have some faith here?
I think in some ways the public is concerned about the changes, but in many ways it's business as usual. This speaks in great terms, Dan, as a symptom of maybe the investigation is as sloppy as the intelligence and the efforts that could have averted the terrorist attacks in the first place. Why didn't they stop the administrative process at the attack on the United States? And why is it business as usual? It raises the question, Dan, whether or not we have religious clerics, students, and diplomats that are guising themselves on U.S. soil. And all of the efforts now to monitor people coming into our shores doesn't forgive the Immigration Service from not policing those that would put us in jeopardy. When Governor Ridge goes around
Mr. Morris, are you shocked by this? I mean, just bottom line, as someone who's in the, in the trenches on an issue like this,
right,
does this shock you?
It shocks me, but I'm not surprised. I mean, we regularly file applications for people, and those take 3 to 6 months on a daily basis, whether it's extension of a tourist visa or students applying for school. So it's not surprising.
Wait, you say it takes months. I have to tell you, I'm not particularly concerned about the length of time it takes someone to get a visa. That's not my primary concern here. My primary concern is that hijackers got extensions. That's what I'm asking about. Are you shocked by that aspect of it?
Absolutely. I think it speaks reams as far as the measures that need to be taken. There is a lot of people out there that would like the Immigration Service split between the adjudications of applications for green cards and citizenship and law enforcement and border control and making sure that we're not vulnerable. And the fact that this can happen so close to the anniversary and shows how far we have not come.
Yeah, Mr. Morris, let me ask you, but the question I asked Mr. Wilds before, and that is, you know, the INS's defense here is, look, this was a mistake, and it was based on an approval that occurred pre-9/11. As you point out, it takes a long time to actually receive the approval in the mail. How much do you think procedures have changed since 9/11, and can we have faith that there has been major progress made?
I haven't seen that any procedures have changed in the processing that we've done for our clients.
It's still just as easy to get a visa as it was pre-9/11. No major changes.
No major changes.
Well, Dan, I would disagree with that to a certain extent. We've represented diplomats and defectors in the past. I have, to a certain extent, seen some changes at consular processing. Overseas, male nationals from certain countries have to fill out more forms. But the cursory review and even the FBI controls seem to be limited. And on U.S. soil, they are not going after students that don't go to school as they're supposed to, and they're certainly leaving us exposed here.
When you say more forms, I mean, you know, what does that mean? It just means that they're filling out more documents, that's it?
You know, before 9/11, the FBI database was not available to consular officers overseas who are issuing visas for people to come to the United States. Right now, if you are from an Arab national of particular countries, and you are between a certain age, there's an additional 20-day waiting period while they vet out your credentials.
What do you think about that?
I think that is a wonderful thing that needs to be employed across the board, and we need to go through the people that have come on U.S. soil. Now, my job all day long is to help people bootstrap themselves onto safe ground. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we protect U.S. citizens and their rights primarily.
Mr. Morris, what do you think about that?
Well, you know, they do have that new procedure in, but that doesn't help anybody that's already here in the United States. So for the people that are here as students or here as tourists, there's not background checks that are conducted on those people. So if they're here, they're in the system.
And just so I understand, I mean, am I right that both of you, your job is to try and get people visas very often? I mean, at least a part of your job is getting people visas, correct?
That's right, Dan. You know, Dan, I had the privilege of serving as a federal prosecutor, seeing things from the government side before I went into private practice. And I have to tell you how disappointed I was then, and I testified on Capitol Hill in